With rank coming to an end in literally a day from now on the 25th, it is actually pretty nice to go ahead and look back at the highest win rate decks that this season had to offer. With rank coming to an end, it's actually pretty cool to see the highest win rank decks that happened this season through the multiple number of decks being played, but just kind of like, regardless if it was most popular or not, what were the most efficient top rated decks? So let's go ahead and dive right on in. Up first, we see Magnezone Oricorio 53.16%, y'all. Over 1,363 wins, 1,114 losses. And here is the best version of this deck. So we are seeing 2 Magnemites, 2 Magnetons, 2 Magnezones, and we also have there we go. 2 Oricorio, 2 Professor's Research, 2 Copycats, Cyrus, Lily, Clemont, Pokemon Center Lady, Pokeball, Lucky Ice Pop, and Giant Cape. Name of the game is to get into your mirror shot, make your opponent flip those heads, because if they do not, they don't get an attack through. With 150 HP, you need those attacks to go through if you're the opponent, because that's just so much health to have to deal with, and to have your attacks just whiff is kind of insane. And then when we think through the remainder of the decks that we're going to talk through, each of them all have an EX Pokemon. So with that being said, Oricorio here being kind of like a really good card to negate the other Pokemon and their effects, and really what the other decks are really trying to do. You do have to run into some scary moments where you kind of have things like Hydreigon that can like just one-shot your Oricorio, and you're running your opponent's not just running one Aura counter. Their whole deck really just kind of like has that, and they have just the Mega Absol in the back end. But into some of these other decks, you're doing really strongly into it, and again, 53.616%. It is the highest win rate of the season for the deck. So overall, even with some kind of bad matchups, your overall impact of the game is positive. You're the highest rated tier deck here, between thinning out your deck, between heals, between getting lucky with your heals as well. Lucky Ice Pop can really stretch this Magnezone and really put your opponent into a bad spot. We then continue off into Mega Altaria EX and Greninja, coming in as our second highest win rate, literally by a sliver, right? 53.16%, 53.02%, literally by inches here. But overall wins, 1,703, right? So this deck got played, literally logging in first, second, you know, like maybe a couple of thirds are sprinkled in here, but like that is just kind of what we're looking at. And so let's go ahead, look at the most highest deck, and that is this build right here. So you are running just kind of like double bench attack here, while supporting to make sure that your Mega Altaria can come in and finish things off right away. So your Greninja allows you to stack up that damage with that Water Shuriken, but that Jirachi also hits you with that 30 to any of your opponent's mon. What you really like is the fact that you can Water Shuriken right here and then attack with your Mega Altaria, but Jirachi's still softening things up. You're taking let's say like Mega Absol from 170 to 140. They don't deal with your Jirachi. That 140 goes down to 110. You're gone. That Jirachi and a Greninja combo, you're doing 50 per turn, so you're able to take things down into that range. So this 130, even though like we have things like Training Area, you really don't need it, because you're softening up whatever they're putting out on their bench. They really can't hide from this 130 attack here, and because these are 1-pointers, it's okay if your Jirachi goes down twice, right? Like you can fill up your Mega Altarias with your Greninjas, right? Like it's okay if this goes down. Your Greninja's not really going to be used for its attack. You're really just here to Water Shuriken things, and then Mega Altaria just sweeps out. 190 HP as a stage 1 is still a lot of HP, and it's really hard to get through here. And even with some Sing shenanigans to really buy yourself some time and cheese it out that way, can actually just win you some games. This Swablu, the Sing version, has been the most prevalent, and that is why, like, having your opponent stay asleep that extra turn while you're finding your cards or building yourself up into some safe swaps really does key in some kind of games for you right there, right? Like, you're able to cheese out a win or that you wouldn't have otherwise. So overall, really like offensive, like you're going in, you're attacking from all angles, and then sweeping out with your Mega Altaria. So this deck really strong, and as we saw, really popular this season as well. And so, speaking of popular decks, or maybe yeah, like popular or not popular, depending on how you view it, but we have Hydreigon Mega Absol EX absolutely dominating the usage rate here, right? 8,031 wins, 6,792 losses, right? By far, if we like come back here, this had a 17% share, literally 10% higher over the next deck in terms of just played in tournaments. And this is like you signing up for this. And so think about folks at home who are just 5-bit and just kind of just want to climb up, and they're like, what's a good deck to use? Here it is. They see it all the time, so they might as well build it as well too. So this just doesn't even account for all of the players that are playing here, but just for the data in tournaments, 16.8% is such a high usage rate. So we really are hoping that with Paldean Wonders, we don't see a lot of new cards out right now that are like, hey, this could be a banger. We're hoping that they're hiding some banger sets so that way we just the new meta has some time to marinate, because otherwise what's going to happen is that even though new cards come out, folks are going to lean back into what they like and what they feel comfortable with, and that's this deck right here. You have 2 Hydreigons, 1 Mega Absol, and 1 Hand Lego, and that's really all you need for your Pokemon. You have your 2 Copycats, your Professor's Research, Sabrina, Cyrus, Rare Candy, Lucky Ice Pops, Poison Barbs, and Pokeball. This one's running 2 Poison Barbs, so if you like to fit that in, then by all means, but essentially, not 2 Poison Barbs, no, you actually do want 2 Poison Barbs, and you can fit in 2 Lucky Pops. This is actually a great build, and that's kind of what I have myself right now. So what this all entails is that if you can go first, you most likely have Hydreigon and you win automatically. You get your Poison Barbs, you can Copycat into your draws as well, and essentially your opponent just doesn't get to play. It just is unfortunate, but that is just the reality when facing against this deck, that there's really not much you can do. Your high roll is not better than their high roll, and therefore you just lose outright in terms of momentum. If you're trying to keep up with terms of energy, you like can't even do that because of this War in Unison, and having 130 turn 2, like nothing really outpaces that right away. Or if you have a bulky enough mon to be able to survive that, nothing surviving 2 of those hits, and therefore if you are trying to tank that, you're already down in points in that sense. So combine that with the Poison Barbs and some lucky coin flips with Lucky Ice Pop, it really, like, it takes a lot for this first one to go down and then for a second one to go down, and then having to deal with Mega Absol as well too just sometimes feels like a nightmare. And that's really kind of what this deck is. And so hopefully we do get some things to shake this up, because if not, folks are going to lean right back into this deck, and we're going to see this deck come out once again. Up next, we have Mega Altaria Gorgas with 1,761 wins, netting in at 52.6%. This is coming in here. Double Gorgas, you got your Swablu, your Mega Altaria, your Chingling, your Jirachi, your Professor's Research, Sabrina, Cyrus, Licia, Copycat, Mars, Pokeball, and now you get to excel off of this training area. Training area is a huge boost, bumping up that 142 Mega Altaria is massive. Being able to clear things like a Suicune, a Darkrai, being able to boost yourself up into a Jirachi and then take out a Greninja EX is like really nice. Same thing to do for a Absol. You even have room for dealing with Hydreigon because you can hit for 140. They tend to eat a Lucky Pop, and if they tails, then they're still in range of being able to get knocked out with a Mega Altaria swing. So training area is really nice. Then being able to boost up to 80 damage with Gourgeist for 1 energy is also really nice. You get to choose which card you get to discard. So it's 110 HP, dealing that 70 damage is really nice. Being able to chip away, you have the power of Chingling as well too. Being able to play Chingling into a 80 damage or 140 kind of swing is pretty good. It's no wonder why folks are playing this a lot. But as we can see, we're running into this card. This card being really strong, as we see another version being up in the top part. It's just Mega Altaria EX and Chingling. And what do I mean by that? Even though we just saw Chingling here, you're really just focusing on the basics. So Mega Altaria and the other versions are paired up with like Gourgeist here. You have it paired up with Greninja here, and really this is just meant for Mega Altaria to shine, and while you are just kind of weakening things down with either the Tapu Lele or the Jirachi, disrupting what they're trying to do in terms of Pokeball, things like that. What's really nice about this deck is that you are not running Pokeball, right? Your Licia nets you, and there's 2 of them in here, 2, 4, 5 Pokemon here, so there's really no need for a Pokeball. You search up your Tapu Lele through like a copycat if you need to, but you're really willing down between these 2 cards coming up in here, and if they try to hide, you can then just throw the Tapu Lele on and then snipe them in the back with that energy arrow. So overall, this deck here, 52.38, so like literally like immeasurable in terms of the win percentage there. Just dropping down a little bit here, but the play rate is like through the roof. You go from 1,761 wins to 3,097 wins. Again, seeing people really opt to play this, and as mentioned, more folks are playing this, and the win rate is like not that much of a difference there. So again, between these 2, this is the most popular one, while this one's just like netting out just a little bit. Again, having a partner in which Gourgeist here, where Altaria just kind of steals the show, and really just seeing in our like top highest ranked decks, Mega Altaria is just like, you know, it just comprises of 3 decks, showing how powerful this card is. And just once again, if they're not doing things that are taking a chance to kind of just shake things up with like a bunch of cards and not just like 1 or 2, we're just going to see a lot more Mega Altaria in our near future. And speaking of a lot more cards, we have Suicune coming in at 52.06%, going down just a little bit here, 3,124 wins. Again, another popular deck, still very high win rate here. Literally all about the inches in terms of where folks are lining up here, but this deck is running the 1 Frogadier, your 1 NDDD, and your Era. This is being placed the most. Some folks have opted out to not play the NDDD EX and do Lucky Pop instead, but it seems that the consistency of having a guaranteed 20 is better than the high roll in terms of just kind of like output here. So this has been like pretty cool to see, and it's just really interesting now that like Suicune and Greninja is no longer the bad guy. Forever we were haunted by this deck here, and it's quickly been taken over by this one with our Mega Absol. For sure. So now if you want to play this deck and feel comfortable about doing so, like you can, you are no longer the meta villain, so to speak. Being able to draw your cards consistently with Suicune, being able to shift around with your Greninja EX, and being able to deal that 100, being able to have that Water Shuriken and healing. This deck has a lot of really good answers. It's still highly played in that high top ranked or top tourney meta for sure. Again, taking on a lot of places, but as we get like a little bit lower, 6 ninth is like right here as well. Folks are opting out for some of the other ones that we saw to play. And then last but not least, Giratina, which is like crazy to say, but Giratina Darkrai EX 51.12%, netting in our last deck for this video, but it's back. Like it's back, and the numbers are showing it. It's being played a lot here. Still getting above that 50% win rate, and netting itself right underneath Suicune and Greninja, and you're running 2 Giratina, 2 Darkrai, 1 Indeedee EX. You have your copycat here, and you have your 1 Peculiar Plaza, which is right here, and your starting plane. So you are essentially really using one of each for the starting planes to boost up your HP if you need to. So this goes to what, 70, this goes to what, 60, this goes to what, 50. A dry cape then boosts you another 20 HP. So you're outliving a lot of things here. And then you have Peculiar Plaza. If you ever just need to retreat for free, or you have a bad start, or need to go into your Dark Rides without having to worry about your Giratina losing that energy, or if it never had any to begin with. Between the Lucky Paw, the Rocky Helmets, the Indeedee EX, and the Ping with Darkrai, you're never worried about the Yellow Bird, and then you just have just all these other answers to what your opponent is doing on the board. Giratina and Darkrai, even though you need 3 turns to start up, and whereas like it feels like the other decks, you know, they just require 2 energy to get going, you still boost up a lot due to the healing, due to the pinging between the Rocky Helmet and your stadium support here as well. But yeah, y'all, this is the top decks for this meta season. Let me know what you all think down below. Which one of these decks have you all been playing? If you've been playing them, if you found great success with something else, let me know in the comment section below, and let me know as well how excited you are for this new meta that will come with Paldean Wonders. Till next time, y'all, peace.